Hi, friend.
Hi, friend. How are you?
I'm good on this Memorial Day. It was no school today, so that was a little change of pace. So that was
Yes.
a good thing.
Yes. So we probably should introduce ourselves. You want to start?
I guess I could. I mean, you know me, but I guess we have some new friends and family that possibly don't. I'm Derica, and welcome to Surviving Homeschools. Is homeschooling right for me? This is an introductory series, and this is day one, so you haven't missed anything. We're going to start right now. Again, I said my name is Derica. I'm here with my good friend Elise. We are Surviving Homeschool Administrators. If you see us posting, that's why. I'm the mom of three boys. They are 12, 8, and recently turned 4. And prior to quarantine, I worked outside of our home, and every single last one of those three boys attended traditional school and preschool outside of the home. So I'm in the same boat as many of our community members.
Absolutely, yes. And so, me, I'm the homeschooler. And so, hi, everyone. For those who are new to the group that we hadn't had an opportunity to meet, this may be your first live. My name is Delise. And Derek and I started up Surviving Homeschool on March 14th. And so it's just been a few weeks or I guess a few months now. And I've been homeschooling for almost a decade. My kids are six. It's late. My kids are 12, 9, and 7. And what started as a love gift for my friends who were thrust into homeschooling back in March has become this group of 5,600 plus families that we have the gift of being able to provide survival tips and educational resources that we catalog as they come in, as well as encouragement and a lot of humor during the week, especially during this crazy time. We all need that. And this series is just another opportunity for us to help. We are excited about that. So we just want to jump in just for a quick moment into your Memorial Day, just for a few minutes, and just talk about, why, I guess, is homeschooling right for me?
Right. Yeah. So back in March, as world news was the hot topic with, the coronavirus making its way into the U.S., um, airports shutting down, cities started shutting down, and then schools started shutting down. That's really what ignited Surviving Homeschool to start. So now it's been 2 months, and now what we're seeing are all of your posts in our news feeds, both in and out of our Surviving Homeschool community, where many of you are not sure if you want to send your kids back to school in the fall. I'm with you. That's a big thing. We've been seeing the recent CDC guidelines that came out. We saw pictures from other countries whose schools have reopened and saw the procedures that those children now have to go through in order to obtain access to the school. And it's really a question, is that really something that we want our children to have to go through day in and day out, in a school environment? We have to also put a lot of trust in our school systems to make sure that they are keeping those children safe in those procedures. So these are a lot of the things that we're seeing people are asking about. So today we thought it would be a good idea to take our Surviving Homeschool one step further. Let's get a little bit deeper into the weeds of what homeschooling actually is and kick off this series, which will be 5 questions that you should ask yourself if you are actually considering the formal definition of homeschooling. And
Not
is it
quarantine, not
not
quarantine.
school at home, which is what we kind of have been doing. That's the running joke. But homeschool and schooling from home are two different things. But with everything happening, people are saying, should I consider homeschool for the fall? Because I really am not sure that I want my child to go through X, Y, and Z as far as, obtaining the education. So Delise, let's just get started. What is the first question that we should be trying to ask ourselves as we are considering homeschooling?
So, is homeschooling right for me? The first question when I first started homeschooling almost 10 years ago, it was the most important question that I wrestled with. It was really, I wrestled with it because homeschooling wasn't my idea. Homeschooling for our family was my husband's idea. And so the first question I had to wrestle with, and that I would recommend those in the surviving homeschool community to wrestle with, and those who are considering homeschool to wrestle with, is why? Why do I want to homeschool? You know, first question I had to wrestle with. My son was 2 years old. Those in the surviving homeschool community. Is that your phone?
I'm sorry, I was trying to access the comments.
Yes, I heard myself.
I want to access the comments, so I was trying to go in. But I'm sorry, continue please, Delise.
Yeah, so why, right? Why do I want to homeschool? My son was 2 years old. My husband had brought up this idea of homeschooling to me, but I had to find my own why. Because knowing your why, even outside the context of homeschooling, is really essential. And whole books are written about it. There's a guy named Simon Sinek, who wrote a book called Start With Your Why. And that's what I would advise those in the homeschool community, or those who are considering homeschool, is start with your why. Your why lays out your convictions. Your why is your foundation. It's your motivating factor.
Right, so there's a reason why people are attracted to this discussion topic. And I think I kind of laid out a lot of it previously, but I know as parents, our kids are always our why. We look at them every day, and looking at them gives us all the reason in the world to keep them as our number one priority, to keep pushing and to keep advocating for them. And as we go through this, we call it quote unquote homeschool, which we've been doing the past 2 months. Some kids have actually been thriving. Some kids who were struggling in the traditional public school system, some of the deterrents or some of the things that were taking their attention away from the education of the curriculum in the classrooms have all dissipated. So they're thriving in its new home environment. So some parents like myself are noticing that on the flip side of the coin, some parents like myself are noticing that the online format is not productive for every child. It's just not a right fit for every child and doesn't work for every child in every situation. So the experience our children, as well as we are having as parents over the past, 8 or 9 weeks now, paired with what we may be looking forward to in the fall, would have us to start beginning to answer, that might start formulating our answer to the why. If we put everything together, all those factors together, that might be our answer to why we should possibly be considering homeschool.
Exactly. I mean, I'll tell you, the thing about your why is that if it's not strong enough, if your why is, if you have a weak why, then, if you haven't really thought through it completely, when you start to get frustrated, when you start feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, that why has to sustain you through those things, right? And so if it's simply, I'm tired of school and, I want to do something different, then that may not sustain you as strongly as I'm concerned about my child's health, if that becomes the why. And so the why has to be strong enough to really sustain us through, the hard times of homeschooling.
Yeah, so Delise, you mentioned 3 things: exhaustion, feeling of exhaustion, frustration, and just, I'm done with it. And, we talk frequently, multiple times a day. So you already know that I've been there the past 2 months when it comes to, educating the kids. And when it comes to education of your children, that feeling of being done just doesn't allow you to actually be done.
Yes.
So there's plenty of assignments that my kids have been getting that have been like ridiculously tedious over these past few weeks, and specifically my 8-year-old. And we've actually taken turns having tantrums and meltdowns. Okay, you're gonna melt down on Tuesday, I'm gonna hold it together, and I'll have my meltdown tomorrow. So we're not having that meltdown at the same time, but we still have to come back and get that work done, because education, is that conviction. We have to do,
Exactly. That's that conviction.
we
Right.
have to do the education portion. So once we make choices on behalf of our kids, we have to have enough conviction in ourselves to actually finish the assignment. You know, we can't quit on the assignment of homeschooling once we start it and when things get tough.
Absolutely. You know, and that's the whole thing, right? It holds you through those, like, or actually it pushes you, you know, through those points when you're overwhelmed, you're exhausted, you're all done. The why will say, to your example, but education is important, so I'm going to continue this. But, you know, my children, the alternative is XYZ, and I don't want that alternative. And so it's that why. When you write that why down, it's that why that you reflect on when you get to those particular points. And what I wish is that we said we're going to happen to people's lives, just our lives live for just
Live lives.
their lives live, you know, for just 10 to 15 minutes. I really wish we could really get into the weeds on this, because it's a really important point, the whys. And so, but that's why we decided to do the private group. We knew we couldn't do this in this manner in terms of not really being able to talk to folks directly.
Correct.
So that's why we decided to do the private group, because that way, you know, throughout the whole month of June, we'll be able to have those real conversations. We'll be able to do weekly lives into their lives.
Into their lives.
For a lot longer.
Our lives.
Right, and share all of our lives. I'll share all the challenges and all of my concerns and worries when we were considering homeschooling in the beginning. Because again, I said it was my husband's idea. So we'll talk all about that. And then, but what we will do is we'll come out of that whole month of conversations with specific information we need to decide, is homeschooling right for me? And like marriage, like premarital counseling, like these other things, you have to make these considerations before you jump in and make a decision. And so talking through, getting really deep into these questions that we're going to talk about, the important considerations around homeschooling, getting really deep into those questions in a private group will allow us to really delve into the specifics. But I also want to say, and I'm sorry I'm talking so fast, I miss, you know, I hate to take up everyone's time for too long, but I really think that one of the things we're going to do in the private group is really get into people's fears, because it's really important to, you know, sometimes it's not just my health, I'm concerned about my child's health, or I didn't like their teacher this year. Sometimes the thing is, you know, there are other really innermost fears that they're concerned about. Like, I'm not going to homeschool maybe because, you know, am I going to mess this up? Are they going to get behind? You know, and so the private group will allow us to really get into those fears of why maybe I'm considering not doing it, even though I could, but I'm scared. And so we're going to address some of those fears as well. And that why question is going to allow us to really dig deep during those conversations.
So I think, so our private group is kicking off June 1st, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I think one of the first things I know, I'm going to make an assignment for myself is to write out my why. And I would encourage, you know, all of us, there's 30 people currently right now. Start working out your why. If you're a journaler, you know, start journaling about that. If you're a note taker, if you use Evernote, you know, just bullet point, start working out your why, so that when we come back to this topic again in that private group, you'll be better prepared and we can discuss it more openly in that closed environment. And so for details about that private group, which is launching June 1st, you can go to our website, which is http:// semicolon. Is that a semicolon? Is that what you call it?
Colon.
Y'all know the two dots. // tiny.cc/ surviving homeschool, all one word. And there you'll find more details about what we'll be covering, what the full series will be about. And more than anything, we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Same time, same place. You guys have the address. Well, tomorrow we'll be discussing the when, right? The when. So today was the why.
Yeah. So we'll talk about when. And it's funny.
When.
Takia says, her husband says, homeschooling is not to be entered into lightly. And Jesse says, we appreciate you, Jesse. Thank you for showing up. We had a whole crew of people watching. And so we're really excited to really get into this throughout the week for, again, just 10 to 15 minutes of your time. 9 p.m. each evening. And check out tiny.cc/surviving homeschool for details on the private group. We look forward to it.
Definitely. We look forward to getting to know you better and us getting to know about homeschool a lot better as well.
Yeah.
Good night, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.